Hello there, I'm the Syrup Snake, and I love FNaF more than anything else in the world. It's an amazing horror game, and that's easy to pick up and fun to play, but it is so f***ing difficult. But I also have lots of nostalgic memories of this game, but now it's ruined because Scott Cawthon got a little greedy. That last one is what we're talking about today. Fun fact, this video was actually one of the first ones I had planned. I was originally planning on doing this one after my Mario video, but I'm sure as hell glad I didn't. Anyways, FNaF will always hold a special place in my heart. I spent hours in 3rd grade beating 420 mode and 1020 mode on my mom's phone and theorizing and playing FNaF 4 with my friend, I'm not going to say his real name, so let's just call him Chuck. And I just have really fond memories of this game, so saying it deserves to die is very surprising. But you know what's not surprising? This series has gone in a direction that I don't agree with, and I'm sure many others won't agree with it either. So here's how the indie game legend Five Nights at Freddy's spiraled into a cash grab and a trap for attached fans. Now I'm going to reference some FNaF lore in this video, and mostly MadPat, because let's be honest, he's the only one that's even allowed to theorize about this game at this point. But don't let that scare you. This is not a lore video. This video is about Help Wanted, Scott Cawthon, and the future of the Five Nights at Freddy's franchise. So let's recap. The first Five Nights at Freddy's was actually supposed to be Scott's last game. He was a failing game designer, and let's be honest, the person who made, whatever the hell this is, deserved to fail. But he redeemed himself with the masterpiece that is Five Nights at Freddy's. It had simple mechanics, there was lots of tension and spoopiness, and it was a great game to play as a YouTuber, so it was destined to explode. And it did. So he made 2 sequels, which really expanded upon the lore. However, the 3rd game was pretty shit, and Scott wasn't very happy with it, so he made a 4th game that really stumped people lore-wise. He made FNaF World, but we don't talk about that, and since everyone wanted another game to fix the insanely complex lore, he made Sister Location, which only made things more complicated. It was also supposed to end there, but there were so many loose ends in the lore, so he made Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria Simulator and Ultimate Custom Night for the sole purpose of tying up loose ends, which they did really well. Now, FNaF lore is really complicated, and I promise I will never make a FNaF lore video, mostly because I'm too stupid to do it. But typically it's considered that a purple man named William Afton killed some kids in various ways, and their souls haunt Chuck E. Cheese robots in Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. The killer begins to experiment with these robots and eventually uses the 5 souls of the dead children to power a new series of animatronics, and there's also a haunted puppet running around, keep that in mind, and the killer's daughter, I think, is also on the loose. You know what, forget it. The bottom line is that all of these haunted robots with these souls of murdered children, they're all lured to this pizzeria simulator restaurant where they are all burned and their souls are at peace, except for Afton, who goes to hell in Ultimate Custom Night with all of his creations coming after him and killing him over and over and over again. And let me just say, this game really is hell. Okay, lore section over. If you're super confused about all that, I do not care. Either way, the bottom line is that the victims are at peace and the killer is in hell. And that seems like a pretty good ending. So why did we need this? In Help Wanted, you play as a video game tester for a VR game that's supposed to undo bad PR done to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza by a rogue indie game oh my god. That's right, everything is completely retconned! Well, maybe. There's a chance that the games were based on actual events in this new timeline, and therefore are still canon in the new timeline, but I wouldn't count on it, because a popular fan theory is that William Afton is glitch trap and he's trying to escape into the real world, but you know, he's supposed to be in hell. So basically, either Scott retconned everything in the previous games, which seems pretty disrespectful to those originals, or he's completely changing what this game is to something that's based on themes from FNaF World. Yes, that's right, the game that we don't talk about, that one? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about. Oh wait, no you don't, because we don't talk about that one. You see what I'm saying? MadPat mentioned this in this video, and essentially, Scott is changing the theme of this game from evil child murderer experimenting with supernatural powers to video games escaping into the real world, which was a theme in FNaF World, connecting the virtual world to the real world, a self-aware video game. This is confirmed by the fact that FNAFworld.com is active once again in advertising FNAF 58, which is a direct reference to FNAF 57, Freddy in Space from FNAF World. Scott is continuing his timeline from the ashes of failed game, one that not even he's proud of. It's the equivalent of the Star Wars sequels. The originals were good. The prequels...
one of them.
But at least they explained a ton of unsolved mysteries about how the galaxy got to that point, and George Lucas planned them ahead of time when he was making the originals. But the sequels were both unnecessary and terrible. Palpatine comes back from the dead without an explanation, and Afton comes back from the dead without an explanation. The story is already complete, and he's just tacking on extra games, just like the sequels were tacking on extra movies so Disney could make some extra money. If it's exactly why people hate the sequels, then why do people still love Help Wanted? Well, I think it's because the lore is unsolved. That's why more games were made in the past, right? Yeah, and I actually talked to Schneid about some of this before I wrote this script to make sure I was getting my facts straight, and he admitted that he doesn't love the new games, but he's interested if it contains mysteries from the past. And this is the problem. People are so desperate for answers, and yes, that has been a reason for Scott to continue making games in the past. I need to breathe when I record these episodes, god f***ing damn it. But this time it's different because all of the characters have completed their journeys. Afton's victims are finally free, and William Purple Guy Afton himself is eternally suffering in hell. The difference between this and Star Wars is that Star Wars perfectly tied up everything in the end of Return of the Jedi, so there's no other reason to make sequels to it, but the fans of Five Nights at Freddy's want there to be more lore. No, the lore isn't solved, but it never really will be, and that's the beauty of this game. No other game can tell its story in such a beautifully cryptic way, and there is no other game that has driven the all-knowing Matthew Patrick to insanity, maybe other than Mario. Now that everything this community has worked so hard to solve has been reduced to games inside games, and the franchise is using this as its segue into a new era, it just doesn't feel the same. Scott knows that there will always be FNaF fans who want more lore, but with every game he releases, the lore just gets more complicated. Sure, it'll tie up some loose ends, but you'll always be asking for more, and this series will never end. This is the most in-depth, complicated series-milking scam I've ever seen. Even when Scott makes a typical in-app purchase-ridden mobile game, this fanbase is still backing him. All he needs to do is keep up the formula of solving more mysteries, but introducing more each game, and he can milk this franchise until the day he dies. Now, I'm all for new FNaF games, but this just isn't how you do it. There's a reason this fanbase has been asking for a Fredbear's Family Diner game since FNaF 2, and it's because making a game there would tie up loose ends without completely reinventing the series. I've played Help Wanted, and I'm going to try Security Breach, but I really don't think I'm going to enjoy it. It doesn't feel like a game about haunted robots, it has a completely different mood, and I only enjoyed Help Wanted because it recreated the old games. I've pretty much given up on this franchise, so instead of waiting for the next big game, I'm going to return to a classic. My favorite FNaF game, Five Nights at Freddy's 2. When the franchise was young, the lore was simple, when there aren't any in-app purchases, god f***ing damn it!